Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today we are reviewing the 8th episode of Lower Decks Season 4, which is called
Caves.
Kind of a riff on the fact that like Next Generation always ended up in a cave.
Yeah,
quite often.
The same cave.
The same cave
Planet
set.
Hell was always the same.
Yeah, Planet Hell. I like the comment about how caves always have smooth floors.
Yes.
Because it was always the studio floor that's
yes.
just on there with a couple of rocks around it. So I quite like that. So the main Lower Decks team, which is Mariner, Boimler, Tendi and Rutherford, all beam down to a planet and they lose...
Yes, but they just quickly...
Gone?
Touching back, this seems to be the first assignment together since they've been promoted.
That hadn't even occurred to me.
They said...
Yeah, good point. They beam down to this planet to survey the moss. Is it moss they're surveying?
No, it's
just a general survey, but they're looking at some moss when there's the cave in, and they lose communication with the ship, don't they?
Which is always the trope of Star Trek. Yeah. We get lost, they're stuck in a cave. Unless they make a joke of the comms aren't good enough to get through rock.
Yeah, lots of knobs, which initially I was concerned about, because I was like, so whilst I laughed at the flat floor for a cave and taking the out of Next Generation and the caves, I thought, is this going to be a one-note joke stretched over 25 minutes, because it's not going to work if that's the case. It went in directions I didn't expect there, thankfully.
Yeah.
So the moss starts to encroach further and further upon them, and so they start making comments to each other about things that
they've experienced
that then they haven't shared, that they're not aware of, that happened in a cave that the others aren't aware of, because obviously now, like you said, they're all together for this one mission, but they haven't been for some of their other ones. So we get a little insight, and we get equivalent to flashbacks, but they're flashbacks to things we haven't seen, as opposed to like recaps of things, which is better.
Poor Tendi, who wants to tell a Turbo Lift
really wants to tell a Turbo Lift story.
Not a cave.
I think they missed an opportunity to riff on Shades of Grey, though, with flashback episodes.
Yes, I was thinking that.
Because it's actually a good one this time, though. So it starts off with Boimler being teamed up with a conspiracy theorist who's constantly going on. What are the names? You can't remember the name of the aliens, can you?
No, I can't.
Which is why they're going to have to be mentioned down here.
To be honest, I only watched it an hour and a half, 2 hours ago.
I watched it an hour ago and I can't remember. I'm going to have to old dependable and put it somewhere around here. He's convinced that these...
they're behind the entire thing.
They're behind the entire thing.
They're shapeshifters behind the entire thing.
Yeah. Well, they appear after Boimler chews him out, doesn't he? He gives him a right telling off.
Nobody likes you because you're a conspiracy theorist. You ever wonder why you haven't been promoted in 10 years.
And then they appear saying, aha, you failed their morality test.
Yes.
So they end up cornered by them, and they end up having the conspiracy theorist lieutenant kind of regale all the tales he's heard on sub forums and all the rest of it about them, and they're incredibly interested to hear about how famous they've become under
and the Klingon Civil War. They've been responsible for that. The one thing I did love, though, just going back to Donate's conspiracies, when it's always been it has been a joke in Lower Decks about Wolf 359 being an inside job, Picard being a hologram, and the Voyager Doctor is actually a hologram. They're trying to say he's not. I was like, I did quite like that. Like, it's just that it has been a joke. Wolf 359 is an inside job.
Do you think he missed out on considering he's going on about conspiracies, and he didn't make any mention to the conspiracy of the thing from Next Generation with the worms? I'm like, he missed a trick there. But I thought that had a good resolution.
Yeah.
I thought
they're chatting the way through it all. And
then Rutherford mentions the fact something about his cave baby.
Yes, it was the Doctor's
cave baby.
Like, what?
So then we get another flashback. No, flashback to Rutherford and the Doctor taking plant samples from a pond.
With that lady
who
took them there to pick the plants.
That's right. Yes, there's three.
The engineers, he got something wrong. Chief engineer's got moss virus or something along the lines of that. Yeah. So they've gone there to get the plants so they can heal him. Yeah.
And there's something in the water that leaps out and kills the scientist.
This creature jumps out of nowhere, and then the Doctor's like, "We can save you." She gets impaled on a spike, and then the Doctor's like, "Oh, we can save you," and she's like, "No, I can just." Basically get you pregnant.
Touches Rutherford and he ends up pregnant with a clone baby.
In seconds, which I was like...
Which, I don't know, right? So hear me out here. I'm going to sound really touchy-feely. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have batted an eyelid. But in 2023, am I the only one that watched that and went, that's a bit dodgy. Non-consensual pregnancy. That's a little bit... And I wouldn't have noticed it. Just 2023, we have a lot of, think about this more and that more and all the rest of it. So in this one, I know it's done for laughs, and I know it's a comedy show, but at the same time I thought... And they've done it in Star Trek loads of times before, and never...
Trip got pregnant, didn't he?
Exactly, yeah. And I've never... Didn't Harry Kim have something similar? But he caught... he wasn't pregnant, but he caught some sort of space virus, didn't he? So they've covered it before, and... Obviously, the times being the times, it never really blipped on my radar. But particularly this year, I saw that and went, that's not something I expected to see anymore.
I know you're saying it. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I think, I thought because it's lower decks, I sort of just laughed and took it on.
Oh, yeah, I laughed
and shrugged it off. It
didn't offend me. I was surprised, given the current climate, current year, that was there. So he births via a caesarean.
In seconds.
And the doctor does not like children.
No.
At all. But they're attempting to find their way out, aren't they?
Yes.
I loved when... So they're obviously taking it in turns, aren't they, to go and explore the caves, and you look after the baby and I'll look after it and whatever. And it's the bit when the doctor has the used diaper and she phases it away and gets rid of it. I was like, yeah, that's cool.
That did make me laugh.
This was quite a short segment.
Yes, because it's just in and out.
Yeah.
And then the creature comes back.
Yeah.
And he manages to try...
Yeah, he programs the tricorder to essentially do what the Universal Translator
does. Yeah.
And it turns out the creature has a baby too.
Which is the plants that we're trying to pluck.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I get it. The story makes sense.
Yeah, so this, and shows them the way out and all, and so on. I thought this one was a little bit light on laughs, to be honest.
Yes.
I think this was a one joke. Yeah. I mean, the other one was technically, I suppose, was a one joke thing. Only they were able to get more mileage out of it than I think this one, which was Rutherford's pregnant. Rutherford has a baby. And I don't know. I don't think they really did. I think they probably could have done a little bit more with the baby. They didn't really do as much for laughs with it.
Yeah, it was a bit short.
Aside of the doctor being grouchy, but the doctor's always grouchy. So again, that didn't really stand up as much for me.
But Mariner jumps in with her comm badge.
Yes.
And they're like, well, how do you know how to do all this engineering stuff? Have you been hanging out with Delta Shift?
Yeah.
To which she's like, no. And then we come on to her story, which is the one that made me laugh quite a bit, to be fair. Where she crashes the shuttle. So crashing the shuttle. They're all fine apart from that one guy.
Yeah.
He's literally snapped his leg off.
Yeah.
And then they realise that literally the other side of the room, there's a crystal. And she tries to step into it and starts to age. That whole little segment made me chuckle, and how they're trying to fight over who's going to actually get to the crystals. And
that's right, because they get further through, they age more and more, don't they? And they kind of have an argument, if you keep going, you're going to end up aging to the point where you're dead.
Yeah. And like the back snapping and all that stuff. It did make me chuckle. Mm-hmm. To which then they go, that guy's the youngest one here.
He can probably reach the crystal without aging out too quickly. And they tell him that his leg will heal and be fine as soon as he gets on there. Only they haven't set the bone, have they? So he walks forward and it heals over the break. As he's walking, he just gets. I was cringing. I was cringing but
laughing. I was like, "This is brilliant."
Was so painful, to the point where his leg eventually completely snaps off. It's just wrong.
And they're like, at which point that other guy turns around and goes, "Oh, there's some more crystals up here. Apart from you get younger."
Which is the quick resolution. And they drag him off. They leave his leg.
We'll get the doctor to grow you a new one.
Are you sure you can't grab my leg just in case?
Which they could have done. Just go back and just. But it was just that whole sequence of him trying to crawl his way. And they're like, no, carry on. You can walk, you can stand. And then, snap.
And then the moss completely takes them over, doesn't it?
So they're just about to try and escape, aren't they? And then...
Only it turns out it's been listening to their stories, and he really wants to hear, because Tendi all the way through has been trying to tell a story, and Mariner keeps telling him to shut up, essentially. Because it wasn't a cave, it was a turbo lift, and it doesn't count. But he wants to hear her story, so she tells her story, which is her first day, isn't it?
Right, did cut back to the first episode. It literally picks up after the episode ends.
Yeah.
Because at the end they chink glasses and
because I remember that part, and then the ship looks like utter crap.
Yeah.
And I was trying to remember what happened, and then they were like, oh, it's the one where everyone goes a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's what that one's from. And they end up getting stuck in the turbo lift for several hours.
Yeah.
And they end up playing lots of stupid games and stuff,
don't they? Charades, and they're playing one with the socks, and she throws it on Boimler's face.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole little story goes on, and but I think they realise then that they've had so many good times together, even though they've been apart.
Yes.
And I get the feeling maybe they're going to try and force their way to do more missions again together. I
think it was just kind of strengthening
their bond together. Yeah, they're good apart as they are together.
They get frightened by shacks, don't they? That opens the thing at the last second.
Yes, they just.
I love shacks.
Baby bear.
But yeah, the Moss.
He laughs it off with them, doesn't he? He wants
to be friends and releases them, and wants them to tell more stories.
Yes.
But then it loops back, doesn't it, to the Boimler's story with the aliens, whose name I'll put down below because we can't remember it.
Standing. Yes.
Yeah, they're standing behind watching it, and they decide not to. They can put the comms back up at any time, but they leave them to. They're having such a good time. Spending time with each other again, which they haven't done so much. So yeah, this was an odd one.
It was. Because it was like flashbacks, but not flashbacks, because we haven't seen these things.
Yeah. I honestly don't know how I feel about this. I would probably say it's probably the weakest one this season, but I didn't dislike it.
If I had to designate it, and obviously it's ironic for live action shows, it was the bottle show. It all took place in the same cave. You know, if there was a bottle, if there was a live action show, they'd have saved a lot of budget because it's been in the same room.
Yeah, exactly.
Filmed, which probably do with animation. To be fair,
I think it was a good idea having it done as flashbacks. It had literally just been them trying to get out of that cave for the whole 25 minutes. I think that would have been really weak. So I think it was a good call. But having said that, I think it was probably the weakest for me so far.
I think it's one of those classic things though, where we've got a bit of a weaker episode just before the.
Yes. Absolutely, I think that's what it is. And I think it was the thing about character. It's about strengthening their bond, which makes me even more think, is something big going to go down next series? They've just made you feel, about all of them. Oh, they're such good friends. Which makes me feel, is something terrible happening around the corner? Well, I actually, having watched this, I sat there and thought, I kind of miss cave episodes. Having said it's not my least favourite one, but at the same time, I was like, I do miss that thing.
This is your chance, the writers of Strange New Worlds. Just do a cave episode.
Do a cave episode. Having said that, what would you rate this one then, do you think?
I'm going to go 3.
Okay.
So I'll give the last couple 3.5. This wasn't quite there. It made me laugh.
These are at 5, by the way, so it looks as if you're thinking out of 10.
10, yes.
No, 5. 5.
Yes. So yeah, 3.
3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a 2.
We're going 2.
It's a 2. It's easily probably my least favourite so far. It tickled like a bit of nostalgia for me. It's a bit of a dodgy finger action that I kind of like, but the actual content of the episode, not so great for me. It was okay. It wasn't bad. Like I said, I didn't hate it. Nothing else.
I think you're right. I think it's building to something. Though.
Yeah.
That whole will leave them all happy together and.
Yeah. And if so, then that'll be a nice intro to something. But yeah, like I said, it was a bottle show. I kind of felt it. It did give me nostalgia for bottle shows and Planet Hell episodes and things like that. But at the same time, I don't think it really.
Yeah. I just think it was done because I think like they've got to this point in the season. Mm-hmm. They've got whatever's going to go on in these last 2 episodes.
Yep.
We still don't know who the antagonist of the season is. For a long time, thought it was going to be Badger. I did thought he was controlling these. So yeah, could it be a frightening time for our lower deckers?
Could be. We'll have to wait and see. And hopefully you'll join us, and we'll have lots to talk about. So if you could like and subscribe, that helps us out.
Massively.
Way more than you can imagine. It all plays into the algorithm. And the same for commenting. So if you've got anything to say, drop down below. Tell me how great this cave episode was and that I'm talking out my butt.
Did it cave in?
No. So yeah, if you could join us in the next one, that'd be awesome. And we'll see you soon.
Good long and prosperous.